Who is richer, Bruce Wayne or Lex Luthor? It's a classic debate among comic book fans, and a surprisingly tricky one to answer. Because both of these famous billionaires come from worlds where wealth tends to be, let's just say, conveniently written. But let's break it down, from their sources of fortune to their lavish lifestyles, and see how Gotham's favorite philanthropist holds up against Metropolis's ultimate mastermind. First, let's look at Bruce Wayne, better known as Batman. Bruce Wayne is one of the most instantly recognizable billionaires in pop culture. By day, he's the CEO and sole heir of Wayne Enterprises, a sprawling multinational conglomerate originally started by his ancestors and built up by his father, Thomas Wayne. Wayne Enterprises is often depicted as having stakes in everything: tech, aerospace, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, and even a charitable foundation. The scale of Wayne's operation is enormous, with some storylines pegging Wayne Enterprises as one of the largest corporations in the DC universe. Estimates of Bruce Wayne's net worth range widely, depending on the era and the comic source. Modern interpretations usually place him somewhere between $9 billion and $100 billion. For reference, Forbes, yes. The real Forbes has run lists putting Wayne's fortune on par with the likes of Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, occasionally even topping the charts as the richest fictional character. But Bruce Wayne isn't just sitting on his wealth. He spends invests it in ways few CEOs could ever imagine. Owning a fleet of Batmobiles, custom planes, secret lairs, and state-of-the-art crime-fighting gadgets is not cheap. Factor in the cost of property damage in Gotham, the need to rebuild the Batcave every few years, and the occasional purchase of a satellite or two, and you've got someone whose bank account is always in motion. Now let's turn to Lex Luthor, Superman's arch-nemesis, and arguably the most successful self-made billionaire in the DC universe. Unlike Bruce, Lex wasn't born into money, building his empire through sheer intellect, ruthless ambition, and a willingness to bend or outright break the rules. Luthor heads LexCorp, a tech and energy conglomerate that frequently competes head-to-head with Wayne Enterprises and other DC megafirms. LexCorp's comics portrayal is always tuned to match the latest trends in industry and technologies. Sometimes it's a defense contractor. Other times a Silicon Valley-like tech giant or an energy monopoly. Lex himself is usually described as having a net worth in the tens to hundreds of billions, with some storylines claiming he's one of, if not the, richest men on the planet. But here's where things get interesting. While Bruce's spending is motivated by a sincere desire to help Gotham and, occasionally, his need for a new Batmobile, Lex Luthor tends to invest his fortune into projects designed to increase his power, destroy Superman, or both. Think high-tech laboratories, global satellites, armies of robots, or entire skyscrapers with his name in 60-foot-tall letters. His spending is flashy and ambitious, but it's always got an ulterior motive. So whose company reigns supreme? If you dig into the lore, both Wayne Enterprises and LexCorp are consistently ranked among the DC Universe's biggest companies. Sometimes Wayne Enterprises is in the lead, other times it's LexCorp. It really depends on who's writing the story. Both companies have been shown building skyscrapers overnight, developing advanced space stations, or even funding superhero teams a level of financial muscle that puts even real-world multinationals to shame. Could we just compare net worths and call it a day? Well, not really. The value of these two characters is often used to serve each story's needs. In one comic, Wayne loses his entire fortune overnight. In another, Luthor is bankrupt and rebuilding. And sometimes one's wealth eclipses the other purely to drive home the tension between them. Depending on the year and the publisher, either could plausibly be richer. If there's one consistent difference, though, it's this. Bruce Wayne has a deep commitment to philanthropy. In almost every interpretation, he donates enormous amounts to Gotham's hospitals, schools, and shelters, often living comparatively modestly for a billionaire. You don't count the supercars and weaponized caves. Lex Luthor, on the other hand, may give money away, but it's almost always to further his own schemes or improve his public image. So, who's richer? The most honest answer? It's a stalemate, with the edge shifting back and forth depending on who's telling the story. Bruce Wayne might be richer in goodwill and actual spending on others. Lex Luthor's assets are often larger, flashier, but always under threat thanks to his own nemesis. The real answer probably isn't about dollar amounts at all. Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor represent two sides of the billionaire coin. One uses his wealth as a force for good, while the other wields it as a tool for power. And no matter who's on top financially, it's the battle between those two visions that really makes their rivalry so legendary.